My name is Ren Harman.
And my name is Dee Harman, and this is the story of our miracle baby.
We were married on June 26th, 2014.
It was a little after a year of marriage that we talked about having a baby, and I think Ren was a little hesitant and nervous about it, but when we talked about it, we really wanted to have that for our family in the future. So I remember I actually had my two boys, Brady and Bryce, out on a trip, and I remember the text that I got when Ren was like, okay, I'm ready to do this.
I was obviously really nervous, but I think I saw what a good mother Dee was to Brady and Bryce, and I always knew that she would be a good mother to my child. And so after a while, I kind of gave in and was just so excited.
So shortly after we decided that we were going to start trying, it was only a few months, and I actually got the positive pregnancy test before him. I remember buying a mug and putting Dad of 3 on there, and we were really excited. So we had decided pretty early on that we were going to share the news with our family, and I had wrapped up a gift for my family to open. And I remember them on their way down, it took about a 2.5-hour drive, so within that time of them leaving and we were excited to share the news with them, I started to have a miscarriage. So my family, actually, they came on to us and went to the hospital with us, and I remember, on the way there, I just began to feel like, what had I done wrong? Is this really happening? And what can I do to stop it? What can I do to make it better? And we got to the hospital, and it was like your biggest fears were confirmed. I remember asking the doctors, right when this happened, how soon can we try again? And we tried as soon as we could, and almost immediately after, we had another positive pregnancy test. And I remember waking up on Easter morning at my mom and dad's house, and it was another miscarriage.
I was hurt, I was upset, I was confused, but I could just look at Dee and I could look in her eyes and know get a sense of how she was feeling, the pain that she was feeling, the heartbreak that she was feeling. And it was tough, it was hard.
Each time was equally as painful in terms of just the hurt. So I think women are just built to be mothers, and we desire that. So every time that you see a positive on a pregnancy test, in a mother's heart, that's a child. And so if it doesn't result in a child in your arms, it's just hard to deal with emotionally. But to experience things personally, you want to say that you can keep your faith, and you want to say that you never question God or the plan that He has for you. But when you're in the middle of that, you do question, and you do wonder, why is this happening to me? So I reached out to a few of my colleagues, one in particular, Meredith, and kind of shared with her what was going on. And she said that she would pray for us and put us on the prayer list at church. I didn't know what church Meredith went to. Honestly, we had some pretty deep talks, but we had never really talked about details. So I didn't really know what church was praying for us, but I did know that she said she would put us on the prayer list. I had to go on a trip for my graduate school, and he went with me, and that was kind of like our getaway to reset and to just accept it and to have fun together and just get back to a good place. And I remember as soon as we came back from that, I got another pregnancy test, which would have been number 7.
So we got the 7th pregnancy test, which was a positive. It was the 7th one, God's perfect number, and it was, wow.
We had blood tests done, and we could never progress past a certain number of HCG count. And I remember I was on the phone and I got the numbers, and they were like skyrocketed to the point to where I thought, wow, we're having twins. And I just remember feeling so in awe that this was really happening.
It's that comfort, that peace, that joy that praying to a faithful God can really bring you in those moments. And I think we literally just kind of laid on our bed and just stared up at the ceiling and just, what a journey we had been on these 2.5 years.
She's going to be holding the baby for you.
So I remember when we saw her for the first time, it was just an overwhelming moment of like restoration of all of the bad things that I had been feeling, and just a peace and a joy, an overwhelming joy, that God had given us this beautiful blessing that we got to take care of. And she was perfect. She was beautiful. I remember the first time that the boys came in and met Faith, how awesome it was. They were just so excited to see their sister. And I remember taking our first family picture together, and it was just like, at that moment, like our family felt complete.
Look at her hair.
After we had Faith, we had a talk about how we'd been through this journey and how God had showed up for us. And it was time at this point to find a home church here in Christiansburg. We had tried so many churches over the past 5 years, and none really felt like home. So Ren had mentioned Lifeline, and we decided that was the first church that we were going to try whenever Faith was old enough to try.
Lord bless you and keep you, make His face shine upon, be gracious to you.
I remember as soon as I walked through the doors and I heard the worship, I could just feel the Spirit of God, and I just felt like this was home. God just touched me right then and there and was like, this is where you're supposed to be. And the first person that I saw that turned around was Meredith. She told me that, her brother was actually the campus pastor here, and she sits in the front row. So she invited me to come up to sit in the front row with her, and Faith and I just walked right up to the front, and we enjoyed the rest of worship, and the service was amazing. And I remember as soon as it was over, I called Ren, and I couldn't wait to just say, we found our church. And so I went to the women's Bible study group that was that Tuesday night, and we were talking about requests, and someone said, oh, hey, we've been praying for you this whole time. This is your baby, and this is, we were praying for you to have her. And I remember everything just clicked at that point. Like, even though, I didn't feel like God was right there through our journey, He was going before us. And one of the ways He was going before us was through Lifeline prayer.
It's always felt like home. Dee and I have been to a lot of churches. We both grew up in church. We've been in church our whole life, been through a lot of services, but this church and these people have always felt like family, and it's always felt like home to us.
Fast forward to almost 2 years later, where we both serve on the worship team. I'm actually the kids pastor now, so God's kind of restored, all of the miscarriages I have now. I get that many more children that I get to watch grow in the Lord.
Throughout this whole process, throughout these 2.5 years, these miscarriages, all these doctor's appointments, Dee and I, we never, lost our faith. We never lost our faith in God and our faith in Him to do miraculous things. It took Dee's faith to step out and to come to church that Sunday, and it took the faith of this church to pray for us during. Sorry. During a time when we didn't know anyone. We didn't know that Meredith's brother was the pastor. We didn't know any of these people. And they were still praying. They were still praying for us, and it's incredible. And without her, without the prayers of so many people and the faith of so many people, we wouldn't be where we are. And faith really is our little miracle baby.